not that, sir. It's just because I trust God in your life for her healing, sir. Please, I need you to come and pray for her.
That is. That's all. That's what you always say when you need help. Trust God. Trust God. Look, what I need is not what you need to. I need cash. But the cash, as in cash. If I come, will you shake your body? Will you shake your body? Do you know how to shake your body?
I can dance very well, sir.
You are a fool. I'm not serious. Envelope.
For let me.
Big envelope.
Okay, sir.
You put the highest denomination there. Look, miracles are not free anymore. So I wait for my reception.
Thanks.
You can't go to the chemist and buy anti-malaria.
From the producer of Awajes, Drtv Films and Theatre Productions Company Nigeria presents.
May God heal you.
Amen.
May my God heal you.
Amen.
Only God knows when you will receive your healing.
Today.
My spiritual brother in the Lord.
Yes, Pastor.
Can you please take me to where your sister suffering from fever is so that we can pray for her?
Yes, she is, Pastor. She don't have any fever, sir.
So this is your sister you've called me to pray for?
Yes, Pastor.
This must be a spirit from China. Is this what you call fever in your village?
Yes, Pastor. My uncle suffered from this same fever before he died. And my grandma is still suffering from this same fever. Pastor, please help us.
It's a generational curse. I'm not a specialist in generational curses. Sorry to disappoint you. But I have a man of God here. Pastor Corinthians?
Yes, sir.
Can you please do justice to her?
It's your job.
It's
your job. It's your job.
I know I'm a prosperity pastor. Okay. Let me try my luck. Let's pray for this Chinese fever. Now, I rebuke you evil spirit in Jesus' name.
Hey, man.
until one day.
What kind of voice is this here? Those devil. What is this? Noise is too much.
She just fell down and I didn't know what to do. That is why I said I should bring her to Jesus. So help me,
What is this? Enough. Stop making noise. Mama, what is this? Is this not Warapa? Or is it Kiri? You brought a Warapa patient to Jesus Christ? Oh my God. You won't bring dollars, you won't bring pounds to Jesus Christ? You'll be bringing Warapa? No, the ministry is this. Anyway, kneel down, let us pray. Kneel down, let us pray. Jesus, as you can see, your children have brought Warapa to you. And they want your instant healing. Hello? You are around? Where are you? At the gate? Is Chief with you? Okay, why? That's good too. Give me a minute. I'll be there now. Mama, we say amen. Everything happens by just claim it, amen. Claim your healing. We say amen. Say amen. Amen. Say it now. Say it now. I will do it. How are you? God bless you. You are lifted. 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 In the name of Jesus. How are you?
So Chief said I should give you this.
Oh. See you later.
Hallelujah.
Zebude. You are lifted. You are lifted. You are lifted. In the name of Jesus Christ. Oh, Rabakasi. You tell Chief.
Yes.
By virtue of this, of the sowing of this seed,
Oh, yes.
by virtue of the sowing of this seed,
Yes.
God will give him long life.
Amen.
In 70 years now, he'll be 80.
Amen.
He'll be 90.
Amen.
He'll be 100.
Amen.
He'll be 150. He will be 200. He will be 300 in the name of Jesus. Say amen. Say amen. Say amen.
Man.
Yes. Oh, yes. Hallelujah. This is the kind of testimony we want. Amen.
Amen. So, he said he should go with me to the airport to pick his daughter.
Oh, that's good. Oh, the daughter is back from the US.
Yes.
Airport now.
Yes.
And he wants me to be the one to
Yes.
welcome her.
Yes.
That's good. That was my ministry. Why am I called? That's my calling. My ministry is to be bringing people home from the airport. You see? Where's your car? Off we go.
What saved the girl that day was because the woman said she brought the girl to Jesus and not to her pastor. Jesus healed the girl that day, but Titus needed to be forced into repentance.
Good afternoon. Who are you? What can I do for you?
He didn't mind. Give that girl and he gave that woman unnecessary job just because you want to serve your stomach. The woman started 261 times. You will shout amen 1,000,000 times. serve as a warning to those pastors who have commercialized my pulpit. When a pastor goes to any church and he is not appreciated or is underappreciated, let the pastor go in peace, and the cause of poverty shall remain on that altar. And if the church appreciates the pastor, the blessing of prosperity shall be on the altar. Take note, my altar is not a market square.
Oh, Jesus! Jesus! Oh, God! Please, God, have mercy. You are plenteous in mercy. That is your word. You are plenteous.
Happy birthday. That is all I can say.
October is here again. October children are special children. It is October Children's Party at Delta Broadcasting Service Warri. Delta Broadcasting Service Warri is organizing birthday party for children that are born in this month of October. It is going to be fun. There will be bouncing castle, Mickey Mouse, bunny, and train ride for children to play with. Prepare your children for this wonderful party that is coming up. Come with your children, because October children are special children. Date, Saturday 26, 2019. Time, 10 a.m. prompt. Venue, the premises of Delta Broadcasting Service at Jeba Expressway, Warri. Gate fee, 500 naira. Again, 500 naira. Don't miss out.
Happy birthday. That is all I can say. I can't keep myself. I can't keep myself. I can't keep myself. Allow me to flex. This life I can't keep myself. I can't keep myself. I can't keep myself. Allow me to flex. Many years me I done the go. Rock the mic, me I rock the show. Many hit songs when I go. Still them go say me and now they try. I see them complain of Kanye West. In speaking mind the people best. Everybody wants to be the best, but the world can do without the best. Nobody let you I say hop on my car. Declare them for us. In a thing cool of an eye. Them like people. This life I can't keep myself. I can't keep myself. I can't keep myself. Allow me to flex. This life I can't keep myself. I can't keep myself. I can't keep myself. Allow me to flex. Yo coco. When you the win and go say now I yo. Some people say I go babala. Never. Tell them, don't be anybody carry me pass. Nobody they carry me pass. Don't be anybody they carry me pass. Nobody know me and they pray and fast. Only God they carry me pass. Only my Jehovah they carry.
On the Drtv News tonight, President Buhari presents 2020 Appropriation Bill to National Assembly. Governor Kowa restates commitment to execution of standard projects. Delta State House of Assembly resumes plenary. Youths speak on trending sex for grades scandal. And on sports, Super Falcons fail to qualify for 2020 Olympic Games. Good evening, you're welcome to the Drtv News. I am F.C. Pius Ogogorie, and also on the news tonight is
Oris Esima Anireta. Welcome.
President Muhammadu Buhari on Tuesday presented the 2020 appropriation bill to a joint session of 10.729 trillion naira to the National Assembly. President Buhari, accompanied by members of the Federal Executive Council, disclosed that the budget is designed to enhance the administration's social investment programs so as to further deepen their impact on the marginalized and most vulnerable Nigerians. The report will be brought to you in the course of this bulletin.
The Delta State Governor, Dr. Ifanyukuwa, has reaffirmed the government's commitment to work within the budgetary limit of funds accruing to the state treasury. Government House Asaba correspondent Miriam Weke reports that Governor Kowa gave the reaffirmation Tuesday at the quarterly media interaction held at the Press Center, Government House Asaba.
The state governor, Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, said its administration is committed to development of standard projects in the areas of road construction and rehabilitation, IAGEP, health, electricity, security, sports, and education, amongst other areas of concern in the state. Governor Okowa noted that the law in the areas of road construction and advised debtors to be patient with contracting firms as construction jobs cannot be effectively carried out as a result of the rains.
We should deliver the budget at the end of the year and have it also concluded on next. Because we want a budget, the one that the people will be able to see, the one that people can actually ask questions on, and the budget that
the governor disclosed that his administration had approved the establishment of more technical colleges to be sited all over the local government areas in the state. In the areas of sport development, Governor Kowa indicated special interest in the need for sports development in primary and secondary schools in the state. Journalists from various media houses, including the member of the State Council of Nigeria Union of Journalists, led by the chairman, Comrade Mike Ikogu, attended the media interaction with the governor.
The 18th Joint Planning Board and National Council on Development Planning, NCDP, meeting holds in Delta State from Wednesday, October 9 to Friday, October 11, 2019. A statement signed by the Delta State Commissioner for Economic Planning, Dr. Barry Peregbe, says Vice President Yemi Oshibanjo will declare the event, which holds at the Event Center, Okbanam Road, Asaba, at 9 a.m. each day open on Friday, October 11. It adds that the State Governor, Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, will deliver a keynote address at the meeting with the theme, State Fiscal Sustainability and Economic Diversification in Nigeria. The statement further says the JPB and NCDP meetings are organized for senior officials in charge of budget and fiscal planning, as well as agencies responsible for budget planning matters. Private sector, development partners, and civil society organizations to interact among themselves on socio-economic issues. It urges all top government functionaries, permanent secretaries, chairmen of boards and commissions, the organized private sector in Delta State and stakeholders in the Delta State Fiscal Planning Project to attend the meeting.
The Delta State House of Assembly Tuesday resumed plenary after its one-month recess with receipts of a letter from the state governor, Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, reconstituting the board of the Direct Labor Agency, DLA. Assembly correspondent and Kemweke reports that the Speaker, Right Honorable Sheriff Uberewori, who presided over plenary, read the names of the nominees as contained in the letter to the House from Governor Okowa. Details of the report will be brought to you in the course of this news bulletin.
The Environmental Digital sanitation team of Delta State Ministry of Environment has arrived for Southfield government area to clean up parts of the area. Correspondent reports that the Commissioner for Environment, Mr. Christian Onogba, defied the heavy downpour to carry out the clean-up in Ukumagba Avenue and Okere Road, Warri. The report.
In spite of the heavy downpour in Warri, the sanitation team of the Delta State Ministry of Environment were at Ukumagba Avenue and Okere Road, Warri, opening blocked drains, clearing debris and evacuating heaps of refuse dumped along the roads. The Commissioner for Environment, Mr. Christian Onogba, represented by the Chairman of the Delta State Task Force on Environmental Sanitation, Mr. Kingsley Iweka, supervised the cleanup. Mr. Onogba condemned the actions of residents, traders and motorists who dumped refuse indiscriminately along Ukumagba Avenue and Okere Road, saying that such actions deface the aesthetics of the areas. He warned those involved in the act to desist or face prosecution when arrested. The Commissioner for Environment disclosed that the cleanup, which was in line with the stronger Delta agenda of Governor Ifeanyi Okowa, will be carried out across the state, stressing that cleanliness promotes good health. Mr. Onogba warned land developers to desist from building on natural waterways or drainages, as the ministry will not hesitate to pull down such structures. He restated the state government's commitment towards tackling the flood problem in the state.
The mantra of Delta must be clean. That is what we are doing, as directed by the Honorable Commissioner of Environment, Honorable Chris Onogba. The essence of the task force is to ensure that anybody caught in the act of dumping this refuse will be dealt with as accordance to the Ministry of Environment law. So the task force is on ground to specify the local government head of government.
Vice Chairman of the task force, Mr. Emmanuel Amiwero, urged residents of Warri to stop dumping refuse along the road and patronize private sector participants, PSP.
Honestly, we must own our environment if we must make it clean. How do you own it? For instance, if you have a shop by the roadside, you must make sure that the roadside is clean. We must consider that aspect of keeping our environment clean.
The cleanup of major cities in Delta State by the Ministry of Environment continues.
The Delta State Commissioner for Technical Education, Mrs. Bubemi Ikulu, has restated the state governor, Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa's commitment and promise to establish 19 modern technical colleges across the state. Mrs. Ikulu spoke when she paid a visit to the palace of the Olu of Warri, Ogiame Ikenwoli, to ask for the the proposed site of a technical college in Warri South local government area. The report.
The Technical Education Commissioner, Mrs. Buemi Ikulu, said the State Governor, Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, is fully committed to reviving and raising the standard of technical education in the state, explaining that the difference between developed countries is technical knowledge. She disclosed that the first phase of the establishment of the 19 model technical colleges is made up of 9 local government areas, which Warri South is among, and solicited for land space for the construction of the project. The commissioner, while also appealing for unnecessary support in making the project a success, further said that the state governor, Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, is looking at the start of the first phase. Immediately, various local government areas make available a land space for the projects.
There has been a decline in technical education, not just in Delta State, but in Nigeria, if not Africa. Our mission here is to tell you that the governor has asked us to tell you that he has established the 19 technical colleges, and the one coming to Warri asks us to request from you a place to site it.
The Olu of Warri, Ogiame Ikenwoli, praised the state governor, Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, for his visionary leadership, adding that the state is lucky to have him as governor. The monarch said there is no doubt technical education is presently the bedrock of the success of any country, adding that with the move of the state governor, the state will no doubt produce great technologists and also greatly reduce the rate of unemployment in the state. The Olu of Warri assured of his kingdom's full support and cooperation in ensuring the success of the project, informing that a land space at Omadino community is already available for the project to kick off.
I thank God for giving us a governor
who appreciates and who is committed to leave his mark in the sign of time. I personally feel that we are privileged to have Oko as a government. And rest assured that I and all my chiefs, we are all in support of this project. And the earlier we can get it started, the better for all of us.
The approval pattern of the technical college was also shown to the Olu of Warri by the commissioner, Mrs. Buemi Ikolo, which has modern workshop, principal, teachers, and corpus quarters, boarding facilities, laboratories, classrooms, among others.
Over 1,000 pupils of Adani Okpe Model Primary School, Orerokpe, Okpe Local Government Area of Delta State, have received free notebooks, biros and pencils and rulers from a non-governmental organization, Ukiri Global Foundation. Correspondent reports that the Secretary of the Local Education Authority of Okpe Local Government Area, Mrs. Mabel Ometa, and the headmaster of the school, Mr. Benson Igbegbadia, thanked the donor for the gesture, noting that it will complement government's effort in ensuring education for the beneficiaries. The report.
According to the headmaster of Adani Okpe Primary School, Ororokpe, Mr. Benson Igbegbadia, 1 month after school's resumption, 1/3 of the pupils were yet to buy notebooks, school uniforms, sandals, and bags due to the harsh economy. Mr. Igbegbadia lamented that the inability of most parents to fend for the educational needs of their children had hindered the smooth take-up of academic activities.
Poverty is really striving very hard in the life of our parents. From the record of the school, I can vividly say that 1/3 have not been able to acquire writing materials for this new academic session. Talking less of reading material like reading tests or mathematics textbook.
It was not surprising that the pupils went into wide jubilation when members of Ukiri Global Foundation arrived at school with writing materials. Members of the foundation, led by its public relations officer, Mr. Nelson Omaye, distributed notebooks, biros, pencils, and rulers to all the pupils in the school. Speaking in an interview, Mr. Omaye said the founder of Ukiri Global Foundation, Mr. Joseph Ukiri, decided to donate the writing materials to the pupils to ensure they had equal access to education, irrespective of their backgrounds. Mr. Omaye noted that the gesture, which was their own way of giving back to the society, will cushion the huge financial burden faced by parents in meeting their children's educational needs. Mr. Emmanuel Ikebugi and Mr. Eddie Oko disclosed that they had earlier donated writing materials, school bags, uniforms, and sport kits to pupils of Ethio Primary School, Saple, and Oyenke Primary School, Oyenke, in Okpe local government area. They added that the group will soon flag off its scholarship scheme for indigent students in the state and urge the beneficiaries to make effective use of the items.
Just a little token from the foundation contributes to the welfare of our young generations.
It's not for them to begin to use it to play or to go and give it to their brothers and sisters at home. For them to use it in school here, so that they become useful members of society.
So we have to start from the foundation to make sure that, okay, the foundation is strong, so that tomorrow they can stand to become a good leader for this great country, Nigeria.
The Secretary of the Local Education Authority of Okpe Local Government Area, Mrs. Mabel Ometa, is Head of Personnel Management, Mrs. Elizabeth Ayawa, and Headmaster of Adani Okpe Model Primary School, Ororokpe, Mr. Benson Igbegbadia, thanked members of Ukiri Global Foundation for the gesture and urged others to emulate them.
We are really happy and we appreciate what Ukiri Global Foundation coming here today.
This organization for bringing soccer to the life of these children. Our future one. It's a very good thing and it's a welcome development.
The elated pupils thanked the donors and promised to take their studies seriously. For Drtv News, John Glover reporting.
Sexual harassment is a menace that is fast eating deep into Nigeria's tertiary institutions. The issue is the front burner following a recent incident of a female student molested by a university lecturer in the University of Lagos. Our correspondent in a chat with some core members and students on industrial attachment in Delta Broadcasting Service Warri condemned the act and said justice should take its course. The report.
Sexual harassment, according to the dictionary meaning, is the harassment in the form of request for sexual favor and other verbal or physical conduct of a sexual nature. Sexual harassment in recent time has become excessively dominant in Nigerian tertiary institutions where lecturers ask for sex in exchange for good grades. Last week, a former sub-dean was caught on camera sexually harassing an undercover reporter who posed as a 17-year-old girl seeking admission into the institution. Reacting to the incident, corps members and students doing internship in Delta Broadcasting Service Warri condemned the act, describing it as morally unacceptable. They revealed that if nothing is done to arrest the social problem, students, especially the female ones who are the most vulnerable, will be forced to throw away hard work and embrace what they describe as mini prostitution on campus for grades. They said the development is appalling and if not nipped in the bud, will further degrade the Nigerian tertiary institution.
I feel that the reason why students are voluntary to go and meet the lecturer for asking them for scores in the examination because they don't read well, and in that form they want the lecturer to give them additional marks because they don't read well.
Where lecturers ask for sex for grades, it is what I describe as totally unacceptable and highly condemnable. How can you imagine somebody who lives in our father's house to come to an institution of instead of learning to come and acquire knowledge at the end of the day, making it easier for her by asking for sex in the place of reading and hard work. It is a sheer description of you showing hard work and encouraging our young students, young Nigerians into what I call experimental prostitution.
And it's appalling that a lecturer would stoop that low to press or harass female students sexually for grades.
How would I feel if a lecturer walks up to me, a female lecturer walks up to me in exchange for good grades or good marks and asks me for sex? I would feel very bad.
The respondents, however, noted that female students should be mindful of their dressing, as oftentimes it is one of the major factors that leads to sexual advancement by lecturers.
Some girls don't even dress properly when you see a lecturer. If you want to see a lecturer, your breast is on the head. If you want to see a lecturer, they are wearing showing your back, wearing tight to see a lecturer. Please dress properly. If they are dressed the way you dress the way you want them to address you. Don't dress anyhow you think a lecturer will say okay.
The way the young ladies or the young girls dress in the higher institutions, they are somewhat seducing the lecturers, which ought not to be. Like in my school, there's a way you dress. If you don't dress that way, you will be sent out of the school premises, which I would say they should abide. There is a law that other institutions should bring in vogue.
We should dress responsibly.
They advise victims to be bold and report cases of sexual harassment to reliable disciplinary committee for appropriate actions.
More reporters should be sent into these institutions to investigate these situations. Monitoring panels should be set up in such institutions so as when such situations come up like this, the monitoring panels will take up take up this situation and then work on it.
Study well, so that you don't fall a victim. Study really hard. Like I told you before, if you're really doing your work, no one wants to harass you. What I will do is to expose such case to the higher authority, the authority that is involved in this. And if it gets to a point where I will be victimized, I will take it to other non-governmental organizations who are concerned about issues of molestation.
Be very, very, very bold to come out to the public and tell them that okay, this is what lecturers are doing in school. They should not be afraid because nothing will happen to them.
I will take it to other male lecturers which I'm close to for directions, because you can't just go to school authorities to report such a matter or a case to anybody without evidence. Through directions from other senior lecturers around that institution, you will know what to do.
Also suggested that the ugly trend should be checked if students involved open up on time to persons they feel they could confide in.
We told you earlier that the Delta State House of Assembly Tuesday resumed plenary after its one-month recess with receipt of a letter from the state governor, Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, reconstituting the board of the Direct Labor Agency, DLA. Assembly correspondent Ken Wike reports that the Speaker, Right Honorable Sheriff Oborewori, who presided over plenary, read the names of the nominees as contained in the letter to the House from Governor Okowa. Now the report.
According to Governor Okowa's letter read on the floor of the House by the Speaker, Right Honorable Sheriff Oborewori, the nominees for appointment into the board of the Direct Labor Agency DLA are Precious Ajaino, Director General, Mr. Blessing Enamoto, Ndidi Isakwini Zuegu, and Austin Bibitiedo as directors. The governor noted that the nomination was in line with the power conferred on him by Section 5, Subsection 1 of the Delta State Direct Labor Agency Law 2006. The majority leader, Honorable Tim Owefere, in a motion moved for the House to receive the letter for further consideration and was seconded by the member representing Patani constituency, Honorable Emmanuel Senebe, before being adopted. The Speaker directed the nominees to submit 5 copies of their curriculum vitae to the office of the clerk on before October 14, 2019 and appear for screening on October 15, 2019. Curriculum vitae to the office of the clerk on or before October 14, 2019 and appear for screening on October 15, 2019. Also at plenary, the Speaker read a letter from the chairman of Patani Local Government, Perez Omun, nominating Mr. Agori Ebipua-Kebina of the council following the resignation of the former secretary, Mr. Emmanuel Teboe. The Speaker also directed the nominee to submit 5 copies of his curriculum vitae to the office of the clerk on or before October 14 and appear for screening on October 15, 2019. Meanwhile, the Speaker has charged chairman and members of various House committees to start articulating strategies for their legislative arrangement with ministries, department, agency of government as legislative activities will be heightened when the 2019 appropriation bill is presented to the House by the governor. Right Honorable Sheriff Oborewori, who stated this at the plenary while welcoming members back from recess, said the House was in the last quarter of legislative business for the year. He urged members of the House to make effort in ensuring robust plenary and committee arrangement, stressing that their legislative ability to carry out the task was not in doubt. The Speaker commended members for their show of love and support to the leadership of the House and urged them to continue in the spirit of unity. Right Honorable Sheriff Oborewori congratulated members for their victories at the Election Petition Tribunal. Meanwhile, the House has deferred the consideration of the report on the Delta State Judiciary Fund Management Financial Autonomy to a committee of the whole to Wednesday next week.
The Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, says the police has the capacity for forensic analysis and will support the Independent Character Practices and Other Related Offences Commission ICPC in forensic analysis. The Inspector General of Police, who disclosed this in Abuja when members of ICPC led by its chairman, Professor Bolaji, paid him a courtesy visit, assured of the police support to collaborate with the Commission in the provision of needed personnel and other areas to support its operations. He urged the ICPC to be up and doing in collaboration with other agencies in the fight against corruption, noted to be one of the most dangerous crimes that, when allowed to flourish, would affect every sector of the country. He hinted that some units have been created to deal with the issue of corruption by the police. In response, he also said the police was a major stakeholder in the operations of the ICPC, adding that the visit was to strengthen the relationship between the two agencies.
65 suspected drug traffickers were arrested by the Edo State Command of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency between July and September 2019. The State Commander of the NDLEA, Mr. Buba Wakama, who disclosed this to newsmen, said those arrested included 39 males and 26 females, while 4,582.57 kilograms of suspected drugs were seized during the period. Mr. Wakama said during the period, the agency also discovered and destroyed 11 farmlands measuring 5.19 hectares on which cannabis sativa was being cultivated. He further said the farms had the capacity to produce 1,007,041.80 kilograms of cannabis sativa. Mr. Wakawa said the command also successfully cancelled about 24 drug-dependent persons during the period. The NDLEA Edo State Command reaffirmed the agency's preparedness to continue to work hard towards reducing drug production, trafficking, and abuse in the state.
The Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of training and development, Mr. Yakubu Jubrin, has approached the National Industrial Court seeking an order restraining the Police Service Commission from sacking or demoting him. He also sought a declarative order of the court that the Commission could not subject him to further disciplinary measures. The Commission had last month queried the DIG for masterminding the disagreement between the Police Service Commission PSC and the police over the recruitment of 10,000 constables. Following the instance of the police on their right to carry out the names of successful candidates without its permission, the Police Service Commission also accused the DIG of making disparaging remarks against the Commission's chairman and a member of the board in charge of recruitment. However, Dr. Jubril, who clocked the retirement age on October 1, 2019, was prevented from responding to the query by the AIG, who said the retiring DIG acted on his directive.
And on to sports, the Super Falcons of Nigeria have failed in their quest to qualify for next year's Olympic Games to be staged in Tokyo, following their third-round African qualifying exit at the hands of Ivory Coast. Meanwhile, players and officials of the Super Eagles of Nigeria are expected to arrive Singapore on Wednesday ahead of Sunday's glamour friendly against the Selassie of Brazil. For these and other training sports reports, let's join Victor Bogidi of our sports desk.
Andy Murray is expected to make his Grand Slam singles return at the Australian Open. According to the organizers, the 32-year-old British five-time runner-up in Melbourne can enter with a protected ranking of number 2. At this year's Australian Open, three-time Grand Slam champion said he feared it could be the last tournament of his career because of a hip injury. But after successfully undergoing surgery in January, Murray reached his first singles quarterfinal in more than a year at the China Open last week. Though Murray has not yet officially entered next year's tournament, which starts on the 20th of January, he has said he will compete in the inaugural ATP Cup in Australia, which holds from the 3rd to 12th of January 2020. Australian Open organizers also added that Belgium's former world number 1, Kim Clijsters, could feature in the year's opening Grand Slam in the women's draw. The four-time Grand Slam champion will return to the WTA Tour in 2020 at the age of 36. Over to football. Nigeria's women's captain, Asisat Oshoala, has described the Super Falcons' early exit from the 2020 Olympic Games as heartbreaking. The African champions were knocked out on away goals rule after drawing 1-1 with Ivory Coast in Lagos on Monday. The Ivorians led through Nina Kapo after just 12 minutes when she rifled home a free kick in the second leg of the third-round tie of the African qualifying series. But Barcelona forward and Super Falcons captain, Asisat Oshoala, produced a moment of brilliance after the half-hour mark to level teams with the nighttime African champions. Despite Francisca Odega and Rasheedat Ajibade going close for the home side and considerable late pressure, Lace Elephants held on to ensure Nigeria will miss the Olympic Games for a third consecutive time. The latest setback under caretaker manager Christopher Danjuma comes after the uncertainty surrounding the future of substantive Swedish coach Thomas Drtv. The 60-year-old threatened to leave due to ongoing problems with the Nigerian Football Federation (NFF) and excused himself from the two-legged tie against the Ivorians. Players and officials of the Super Eagles are expected to arrive Singapore on Wednesday ahead of Sunday's friendly encounter against five-time world champions Brazil. The match, which will be played at the Singapore National Stadium, Kallang, will kick off at 1 p.m. Nigerian time. Meanwhile, Super Eagles head coach Gennett Rohr has handed CSK Sofia winger Solomon Otabo a late call-up as replacement for the injured Samuel Kalu. The 23-year-old has featured in 7 league games for CSK Sofia this season and has been very impressive. Coach Rohr had earlier named Tyrone Eboyi as a replacement for the Leganes of Spain defender Kenneth Omeru. In a related development, Glasgow Rangers of Scotland midfielder Joe Aribo has been declared fit to play for the Super Eagles against the Samba Boys of Brazil on the 13th of October in Singapore, having recovered from the head injury he suffered last month for his club side. Rangers manager Steven Gerrard said Joe Aribo was very close to being 100% and is therefore expected to hit camp on Wednesday for the rest of the Super Eagles squad. To some European football stories, Jorginho Wijnaldum has insisted Liverpool are not getting carried away by talk that this could finally be the season they win the English Premier League title. Though the season is only 8 games old, Jurgen Klopp's men hold a significant 8-point lead over last season's champions, Manchester City, going into the international break. Liverpool extended the gap to 8 points on the weekend after James Milner's last gasp penalty secured a 2-1 victory over Leicester as Manchester City faltered at home, losing 2-0 to Wolverhampton Wanderers. Reports in Spain claim Gareth Bale wants to quit Real Madrid after being upset by last week's Champions League snub. Spanish tabloid AS claims the 30-year-old winger has had enough and wants to leave in the summer. The Welshman was visibly upset at being excluded from the squad in the UEFA Champions League draw against Club Brugge last week. For Drtv Sports, Victor Onajeyo Bugidi reporting.
And away from sports, more reports from the foreign scene. 28 Chinese organizations have been blacklisted by the United States for their alleged involvement in abuse against ethnic Uyghurs in China's Xinjiang province. The 28 targets include both government agencies and technology companies specializing in surveillance equipment. The organization are now on the so-called entity list, which bars them from buying products from the United States companies without approval from Washington. Right Group says Beijing is severely prosecuting the mostly Muslim groups in detention camps. It is not the first time the U.S. has put a Chinese group under a trade ban.
Ecuador's government has temporarily moved operations from the capital, Quito, to the port city of Guayaquil amid protests sparked by the end of fuel subsidies. President Lenin Moreno said he would not back down on the fuel price hike and accused opponents of attempting a coup. It came after more protests and road blockades led by indigenous groups. Hundreds have been arrested amid the country's worst unrest in years. Indigenous-led protests have toppled the president in the last few decades.
And still from the foreign scene, Hong Kong says it has no plan to use emergency power to enact new laws beyond a ban on wearing masks during increasingly violent protests. Chief Executive Carrie Lam said at a news conference on Tuesday that there were no plans to introduce more laws nor rule out seeking help from mainland China to stop violent riots. The Hong Kong leader stated that if the situation becomes so bad, then no option can be ruled out, saying extreme violence by rioters had justified her decision to invoke emergency powers for the first time in half a century. Earlier this month, the European Union issued a statement in which it criticized Hong Kong's release of the use of live ammunition against rioters. The French foreign minister referred to the statement last week, calling the situation troubling.
And with that report, we conclude our bulletin for this evening, but for a recap of one of our major stories. The Delta State Governor, Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, has reaffirmed government's commitment to work within budgetary limit of funds accruing to the state's treasury. Governor Kowa gave the reaffirmation Tuesday at the quarterly media interaction held at the Press Center, Government House, Asaba. We'll bring you the report on the 2020 appropriation bill in a subsequent bulletin. That's the size of our news. Thanks for watching from FA.
From Oris.
Yes. Thank you so much for being part of the news. Have a wonderful time and the rest of our program.
Good night.